Okay, excited to get back to work here today and prepare for a good football team coming into town this weekend. Good football team, good football program. Got a lot of respect for Gary Patterson and what he's accomplished at TCU. Been there for quite a while. I think he's won 85% of his games there. So, program that's used to winning, coaches that are used to winning, players and fan base that are used to winning. You know, and they're coming off a couple of tough losses. New conference, you know, quality of opponents are pretty good, and you know, playing a lot of young kids, and we'll expect them to continue to get better and better over the course of the remaining 5 games that they got. Offensively, they pose a lot of problems. They obviously had to switch quarterbacks to the freshman Boykin, who's a dual threat guy, who's dangerous with his feet, and you know, has some weapons around him. All the receivers that they got are quality players that could have went to a lot of different programs, and they do a tremendous job distributing the ball to a bunch of different people. Defensively, always been known for playing really good defense. Gary Patterson's defenses have been very good, giving up more points and yards than they would like. They're not used to that, and everybody's complaining about what's wrong, but they're doing a good job of staying true to their schemes and coaching their kids up. I think they got one senior on defense, and the rest are younger, inexperienced guys, and play hard. They're a program that's played with tremendous effort and tremendous passion over the course of the years, and this year is no different. It's the same stuff. It's the same people I see on tape. It's the same schemes. It's the same effort. It's just you know, they're playing some pretty good people, and you know, I expect them to get better and better. The thing that really stands out about these people is the special teams. I think they lead the Big 12 in many categories. Got a young punter, but he's booming the ball. They're playing a lot of bodies, so they got a lot of moving parts. Got a tremendous returner in the Dawson kid, number 11. He returns both punts and kicks. Is dangerous, gets out in the open, but they you know, again, it's a lot of young guys that they play on that unit, and they do it well. So will be a challenge. Looking forward to the matchup. Questions?
Do you see a lot of similarities between them and you guys?
I don't try to compare anybody. We try to get to know our opponent as well as we can. We worry about ourselves, and we try to get our guys prepared to play, and you know, from a mentality standpoint, and then we get out there and hopefully we're in the right frame of mind, and we play hard. So we worry a little bit more about ourselves than we do the opponent. With that said, we get to know the opponent as well as we can, and what to expect, and then try to get our guys in the right frame of mind to go out there and execute.
David, their defensive scheme's a little unique, though I guess Texas Tech runs something very similar now, but how unique is it? Is it difficult to attack?
They're sound. It's not difficult. It's a sound scheme. You know, I guess it'd make a lot of people around here happy if we switched to a 4-2-5 version, seeing how TCU is pretty good at it, and Kansas State's pretty good at it, Texas Tech's pretty good at it. It's not scheme. I don't know how many times I got to say that. But they play their scheme well. They coach their mentality well. They coach their personnel well. They coach their alignments and their techniques well.
You've mentioned Boykin several times and what he can do. It sounds like there might be a chance he might not play after the injury late in the Oklahoma State game. If he can't go, do you have any idea what to expect from their offense?
I mean, we don't know if he's going to play or not. We don't know if any of these guys are going to play. They don't know if any of our guys are going to play either. So, you know, what you do is you can prepare for what's on tape, and they got a good quality quarterback behind them. You know, I've watched him won a state championship in high school. Kid's a good player. If it happens to be him back there, I doubt they're going to be able to change their scheme in a week. Schemes are hard to switch. So what you do is what you do.
What's the biggest thing you guys have changed in the last 2 weeks?
Well, since how we decided not to switch back to the 3-3 stack, or we decided not to go to a 4-2-5, or we decided not to start running the option. We decided not to go just 100% empty because we had a little bit of success with it against Baylor, then we probably didn't change a whole lot. Hopefully we changed, we got refreshed, and our mentality's good, and our body language is good, and our confidence is back up, and our players are excited about playing. We practice hard this week, and we get out there, and we're excited to play a football game. We go out there and we play it to the best of our ability.
Coach, it seems like with Geno specifically, it seems that regardless of the circumstances, whether he's fielding Heisman questions, talking after a couple tough losses, he's always got the same mindset. Never really gets too high or too low. Is that how unique is that, and how valuable is that for a player at this level?
He's mature. You got to have a lot of guys like that, but he's mature and has been in front of that camera a lot. Has been under center fielding snaps for many years, and so he's one of the most experienced guys that we got, obviously, and he's been in that situation before, and he knows how to handle those situations. You know, he needs to handle the loss a little bit better. And we talked about this last week, but you know, he's not responsible for a loss. There's a whole bunch of people that play in the game. There's 50 to 60 people that play in the game. A lot of coaches that are involved in the game. So there's a whole lot of people that can accept responsibility for what happens, whether it's good or bad. And that needs to be his mindset.
Dana, within their 4-2-5, they've in the past they've done something kind of strange where they'll play like zone in the left half and man on the right. Are they still doing that, or is it young after not?
Not as much. Not as much. It's harder to do that with as many spread teams that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
But they match stuff a lot more than they do. They will play man, which sometimes I don't know if they get confused. Sometimes I get confused on, you know, if it's man or zone, or if one side's man, one side's zone, or any of the rest, because there's a lot of matching routes that go on that look like man. And there's a lot of pressure. It's 50% man, 50% zone pressure. So when they're pressuring, you don't get a beat on whether it's going to be man or zone or any of that. So you know, they're very sound in what they do, and they don't have a lot of busted assignments. There's not a lot of free people going. You know, they don't beat themselves on defense, so to speak. So we can't worry about teams beating themselves. We got to execute. We got to know what they're doing, and we got to get out there and play with high energy and make our own breaks.
With regard to that, though, I didn't understand a word you just said about those things. It must be difficult if you're trying to figure it out on the fly. They do that for a reason. Does it deceive? Does it confuse?
Yeah, it can,
Yeah.
but it's sound. There's something to be said for. You know, his retention with coaches is pretty high. Dick Bupkus is a really good football coach. He was 2 years ago. He was at the Broyles things with me and got to get to know him a little bit. But he's been there a long time. He's been coaching there a long time. You know, Chad Glasgow's back with him after 1 year at Tech, but has been with them for a long time. Their retention with their defensive staff is impressive, and Gary's been there for going on, I think, 15 years doing the same stuff. So you get a whole bunch of people that believe in what you're doing, you get pretty good at it. You get people saying the same stuff in the 4 or 5 different meeting rooms that exist on one side of the ball. They're all saying the same stuff, and they all kind of know what they're thinking. So that's a huge reason why their scheme is pretty good, and they don't have a whole lot of mistakes because they're all on the same page and they're all coaching it the same way. So in that situation, it allows you to be a little bit more creative in small little ways. Again, it's more about how you teach them the mindset, and how you teach them to play with effort and be physical and be really good at your technique is a whole lot more important than scheme.
Dana, how healthy was Stedman last week? And obviously, his absence in the second half of the Texas Tech affected you. And if he wasn't 100%, how much of that is part of your offensive problems right now?
I didn't know we forgot how to quit coaching. I didn't know our offensive problems were incredibly magnituded by one guy. That's not ever going to happen. I mean, are we better with Stedman out there at 100%? Yes. Are we better with 100% out of Sean Austin? Yes. Is that the reason we lost? No, it's not. There's a whole bunch of things that go into it, and we're working hard to try to fix them.
Is the offense any different with Boykin versus the original guy?
I'm sorry.
Is the offense much different, TCU's, with Boykin versus the original guy?
I didn't. I'll be honest with you. I didn't study the offense as much before. We got 4 good games that we used. I'm sure the defensive guys got in there and looked at it. The 4 games that we broke down are the ones that he's been in. That's a whole lot more important. You had a veteran quarterback that was a physical presence. That was a big dude. So he ran the ball probably a little bit more. But you can't come up with just 100 different ways of trying to put the ball in play, especially throughout the course of a week. So what they've done the last 4 weeks is they're missing a good running back, so their run game's not as good as Gary probably wants it to be. They're moving the ball fine. They just can't beat themselves on offense. And defensively, we got to do a good job of pressuring the quarterback and trying to create turnovers. It's something we got to do a better job of.
Is Boykin in the 4th game much different than Boykin in the 1st game?
Not much.
No.
No.
When things were going good for them earlier in the year, what was it that they were doing well? And when they've kind of hit their rough patch lately, what is it that's been tripping them up?
Yeah, it's turnovers that they're not a whole. They won a couple of games earlier in the year. They played a pretty tough Oklahoma State team last week. Iowa State really played well 4 weeks ago when they played them. They got some big plays on them. So I don't know. I mean, it's you gotta worry about what you've seen out of them lately, and what they're doing well lately is probably what they're going to build on. I mean, there's not enough time. We could go back. I could go back 12 years on what they've done defensively and what's made them good and what's made them bad. But it makes this defense that we're looking at right here that the most important thing. So you got enough material out there to where you can look at it. But this time of the year, you don't have to do a whole lot of research. You can look at what they've done lately and get a pretty good idea what they're going to do. There's not many tricks out there from a schematic standpoint. Huh?
Have you ever played TCU?
Yeah. Yeah, I have twice. Early 2000. Gosh dang, I forget this. I forget what happened last week. Early in our career at Tech, I think it was probably 2004, 2005. We won pretty good, scored a lot. And then 2006 or 7, I don't remember, we played at TCU, and they played really well, beat us 10-7.
Coach, weather-wise, you inside today?
I figured we're preparation for Rutgers, right? This time last year we had the same stuff, and we managed to go outside in a very tough environment at Rutgers, and the weather being rain, sleet, snow, wind, chaos, tough opponent, and we went outside and we did okay. So we'll probably go outside and throw snowballs around and get used to the weather. And who knows, it's setting in, so maybe it's going to be like this on Saturday, which up in the Northeast you got to be able to deal with it and play in these conditions, which we did last year, and and got a victory in it. Probably do some of our work inside. Same situation as the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots and the New York Jets and then the New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles. I think you guys get my point. Have to deal with weather. I'm not going to panic about it.
Do the practice reps change for the young receivers, the true freshmen that you're now playing, Robinson and Copeland? Do you intentionally start getting a ton of reps to catch them up, or what do you start doing with them?
Yeah, when you make the decision to play them, you probably ought to play them. So we will. The reps used to be we'd kind of have them with us about half the time, and scout team half the time. Since we made the decision to play them, we'll be 100% with us, and they won't have to worry about any scout team. So with that said, yeah, their reps will go out. Their reps will be dictated on how they do in practice.
How'd they do in the game?
Just okay.
Yeah.
Everybody just did okay, though. I guess that wouldn't be an appropriate statement. We didn't play well, but they didn't do anything detrimental. On the same side, they didn't do anything fantastic, which is another statement.
What have you seen out of your defense for the last couple of weeks, and in terms of getting in there, getting those reps, getting the young guys in, and progress-wise?
Well, we had 3 practices last week, and I was proud of how they played with effort. They were attentive. They kept playing. You know, if 5-2 teams that are coming off a loss pout and feel sorry for themselves, they're probably not going to finish the year very well. And you know, there's approximately there's a whole bunch of teams in the same situation as we are. If you look at the Big 12 standings, I mean, it's very similar to what we are. You know, there's some teams coming off of losses, and how you handle those losses are what you're eventually going to be made of. So the way our guys came back, they played hard last week. They were physical. They lined up and played with effort. So wanted them to get away from it for a couple of days and be 18 to 22-year-old kids, and they did, and came back Sunday ready to go. They were glad to be back on Sunday, and we had a good practice up in the indoor on Sunday, and hopefully we do the same thing here today.
Gino obviously throws a lot of passes between games, practices, and all that type of stuff. Where in the benefits of a bye week does it come for a starting quarterback? How important is it for him maybe to get a little bit of rest on that arm?
I don't think the arm's a big deal. We're only out there 3-4 times a week. From a mentality standpoint, I think it came at the right spot, right time.
Dan, what was the buzz collectively among your assistants when they got back from recruiting? What was out there?
This was harder to tell because we're in some new spots. You know, we we're in some areas that we've been before, but we're there to kind of more evaluate and try to get into some spots and see some kids we hadn't seen yet for the first time. So did a good job of evaluating guys. It was, you know, with some long flights and some long drives to be able to get that situated and back here on time for Sunday at practice. You know, it was good to set our eyes on people. That doesn't have an immediate effect on some of these kids that are from all over the country. You know, just because they see a West Virginia guy doesn't automatically say that I want to go to West Virginia, because these kids got many options and they're from many parts of the country. So, but it allowed us to put our eyes on them and allowed us to evaluate them, make decisions on whether we're going on them, whether we're not going on them, and then it puts us in position of recruiting them, which means we got to spend many hours recruiting these guys over the course of the next 2 to 3 months. And how it ends up playing out is like any other recruiting battle. I mean, who knows what the trick is to be able to get them. It's our job to try to figure that out.
Danny, you can obviously evaluate them a lot on tape. What are the benefits of evaluating them in person, having somebody actually physically there?
From a presence, it helps, and just eyeballing them, you know, just to see what their height is and what their size is. And you can't tell any of that stuff on tape, so you got to get out there and you got to put your own eyes on them and see for yourself if it's exactly what you're looking for. When you're recruiting a junior college guy, you don't want to be wrong. You got to identify what your need is and then go see if that kid fits that need. And then he's got to research us and see if the needs on our end, if it is what it is. I don't want to go there and sit behind a guy for 2 years and not play.
Is Roger Jenkins still out?
No, he's fine. I don't know if he's fine. I mean, we got, from an injury standpoint, everybody's practicing, but Travis Bell's out for the year. I think you guys know that. Juwan Snow's out for the year with his shoulder surgery. Avery Williams is out for the year with the neck surgery. So those 3 guys are out. Everybody else is practicing. Hopefully we'll be ready to go.
Okay, thanks, Coach.